Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Jeremy and today I'm going to be talking about episode 5 and 6 of a series of unfortunate events on Netflix, The Wide Window. I'm going to be honest with you guys, this is probably one of my least favorite books in this series, and I think it's because the whole book seemed very claustrophobic, and also it felt a little bit like catch and release at some point. Like, it just became a little monotonous. Like, the first time that Count Olaf gets away, it's kind of like, ooh, that's kind of creepy. And the second time he gets away, it's kind of like, okay, let's get on this. And then by the third time, it's like, okay, we've seen this. Let's introduce a new concept. Where these two episodes really did a good job at removing so much of the excess parts that didn't need to be necessarily shown, like the extra dinner scenes and extra stuff that happened with Aunt Josephine, and a lot of that excess got trimmed out and a few different scenes got put in their place, and then we also had a little bit of reordering. So this episode had the most changes so far to the timeline as well as the content, but I am 100% for it. There was nothing that I would have changed. I personally did not think that anyone could replace Meryl Streep in my heart, filling the void of Aunt Josephine, but Alfre did an amazing job as the character, and I think she played the part really well. I don't think she was overly annoying with all of her grammar corrections, and I felt like she really played like that scared, widowed woman like very, very well. And I don't feel like her character really got monotonous, which I think can be a very big problem, playing someone who has like a specific character flaw that really just like irks them every single time. So needless to say, I really enjoyed her performance as the character. Neil Patrick Harris this episode was 100% giving Jim Carrey realness, in like Jim Carrey as like the Grinch. I thought he did a really good job. What I've been so impressed, Bodhi, do you have to like knock the camera? What I have been so impressed with him this whole season is that I was like certain that he was gonna just play like the same type character throughout the whole show, and he's changed it up every single time, and I've been so impressed at his ability to modify his voice, at to play different characters, and to really make each one feel like their own living, breathing human being. And the kind of running joke throughout the whole show is that Count Olaf is a horrible actor, yet he seems to be doing a pretty good job at tricking everyone around him, excluding the Baudelaires, into believing that he's these different parts. And Neil Patrick Harris is actually doing a very good job at portraying each one of these characters in a different way. Yes, he did take from Jim Carrey in this episode, I think just a little bit, but I think it worked really well for the part. The thing that I really appreciated most about this was the peppermint scene, because in the book, Violet keeps the bag of peppermints inside of her pocket, which doesn't really make sense for someone who has a severe peppermint allergy, as well as her siblings, to keep a bag of peppermints inside of her pocket. Like, there'd be really no need to keep that. So having her throw it away in the episode, and then having the society come in and being like, do you have any allergies? Look at the bone. So I think it was a smart decision to have her throw away the peppermint, and then have the society come in, since they are in the interest of protecting the Baudelaires. Must you do this, Brody? You're knocking over my camera stand. And you're breathing on it, and your breath smells really bad. I think the whole scene was very intelligent, and I think it worked better in the show than it did in the book. I like that they kind of took out some of the unnecessary bits and introduced the theater troupe, and I appreciate that they've been doing that every single episode and bringing them in and showing them and what they're doing for Count Olaf, rather than just having like a villain come in each episode as the assistant, because in The Wide Window, the only one who showed up was the androgynous one, and they had a key over by the boat. So I appreciate that they've been introducing the troupe every single episode and like doing different things with them. The boat scene, I think, is really the only thing that like always gets me in the book as well as in the show. The fire scene is really like the only thing that just gets me every time. I was reading it in the book while I was watching the episode, and it's just such a ridiculous scene, like something that would never actually work, but I appreciate that they kept it. I appreciate that they tried to make a little more sense of it by throwing the plane factor in. It still doesn't really make any logical sense, but so much of this whole franchise doesn't make sense, and so much of it relies on campy, jokey humor that I appreciate that they kept it. And I really like that they kept true to like the book and how the house was destroyed, all of the CGI that they put into it. It felt more funny than in the movie. I felt like it almost seemed a little more tragic. And I like that they're introducing so many of these characters in the photo, and they're really foreshadowing what's going to happen. And they're trying so hard to make us believe that the parents in the plane are the Baudelaire's parents, and I'm not buying it. I'm not. Because they can't rewrite that whole segment. They can't. And if they do, I'm going to be so mad. At the very end of the episode, instead of the kids going with Mr. Poe and then eventually getting sent to the Miserable Mill, which never really made sense to me, like context-wise, why Mr. Poe sent them to the mill, that always is kind of like a little confusing to me. In the series, they willingly went to the mill themselves. So they got on the back of a truck and they're on their way now, which to me, that makes a lot more sense. And so I like they're setting that up. It really sets up the Oster Academy in like them not being really like suitable to stay anywhere because they're like a flight risk. So maybe that's how they'll set up for book 5, is that Mr. Poe finally catches up with them and is like, well, you guys didn't listen to me, so I'm gonna put you in this home essentially until I can figure out what to do with you. And so that kind of puts everything into a lot more context. And if I'm remembering correctly, Mr. Poe was not as involved in the Miserable Mill, so they could use that to their advantage in not having to like have him as a vital character in the next 2 episodes. I am really bummed that the season is ending already. I wish that they had maybe 1 or 2 more books, but I feel like whatever's gonna happen in the 2nd season is gonna either wrap up everything or it's gonna like set up for a really good cliffhanger for the end. So let me know what your thoughts were in the comments below, and I will see you guys for the next review. Thank you guys for watching. Bye!